Understanding the basic psychology of the dog you have in your house is quite important. We've had a couple of questions come in around being able to get focus in a quiet environment and struggling to get focus outside of that environment. Okay, there's a couple of key factors. Number one is making sure that the dog is comfortable with the environment first. So if you're seeing nervousness in your dog, or you're saying your dog is nervous of other dogs, number one is the dog comfortable in the environment as a whole first? Number two is distance from distractions. Can we make it easier on the dog by creating more space from the distraction so that we can teach the new skill? Every time you start to generalize a skill, so take the dog from one setting to another setting and repeat that skill, the dog needs time to process, and you need to go back through that whole process to re-establish the communication system. Dogs won't just instantly do that behavior in another setting just because they know it in one. Can the dog leave distractions in that environment? So in the environment where you're getting a good response, could you maybe put distractions in that environment and teach the dog how to ignore that distraction? I'll give you a little demo of this step. So I've got Atlas here, right? And if I throw some treats on the ground, it's very unlikely at this point I can get him to leave that food alone, okay? It's too distracting for him. So I've got a competing motivator, okay? The motivator is either the dog wants access to something or the dog wants to escape something. So one's either fear or a desire to get something, okay? So if you're out and the dog has a fear response and the dog is fearful of something, you're competing with the dog being nervous. So you've got to reduce that nervousness somehow, and that's where creating space would help, okay? Or letting the dog explore the environment first. So assuming the dog's now comfortable of the environment and the dog wants access to something, Atlas, all you're gonna do is get some food in your hand or something that the dog wants, have a leash on the dog, make sure the dog can focus in that environment. So you're gonna just toss the food, leave, hold it still. Once the dog breaks away or looks at you, yes, mark and reinforce. Leave, gentle guidance, yes, mark and reinforce. And then you're going to let the dog have the treat, free. Atlas, sit. Good. So I've got the treat again, I'm going to throw it, leave, I block the dog. Yes, mark and reinforce. Let him have them. Free, free. Atlas, sit, good. Leave, block, pressure comes off. So now he's in the decision-making process. What decision does he make? Yes, I could mark for sitting, that's fine. So he's calming, free, and I'll let him have it. Okay, and we shape up the dog's ability to be able to leave something that the dog desires just by blocking the dog, waiting for the dog to relax, reinforce, and then give the dog access to what it wants. If you're running into more of a fear type response, it's a slightly different approach. And like I said, it's all about distance from the distraction or the stimulus that the dog is nervous of, and making sure the dog is actually comfortable in the environment first. So if it was your dog is more nervous, you would just let the dog explore the environment with no dogs first, okay? Then you would go to that environment when a dog was present. So you eliminate factors. So we take away the fact that the dog is nervous of the environment, we get rid of that. Then we go, okay, now the dog's comfortable. If we add a dog, how does the dog respond? And we might then be able to get the dog to respond more appropriately, okay? So there are a number of other factors that would come into play, but as a brief guide, that would be an approach that could help.